Hi, I'm Paul Roberts, and Kay writes in and she wants some information on how to be a successful entrepreneur. Well, let me read her letter here. It says, "Hello, Paul. My name is Kay. I'm interested in some conscious coaching. I watched your introduction video and would love to change my circumstances, but I don't have a good support system with consistency. I love learning and educating myself. I'm willing to put in the work, but need help with stable consistency. I've worked with a lot of self-help tools, but there's just so much one can do on their own. I've wanted to do something like this for a long time, but the consistency is what doesn't help. And by that I mean financially as well. There aren't many opportunities as the one you're offering. I hope you're able to help. Look forward to hearing from you." Thank you, Paul. And then I asked her a couple of things so I could know where she's coming from. I asked her about a few things. She says, "I appreciate your help on the video. I'm single, no kids, 29, and I'm a spiritual person. I'm actually doing what I can to become an entrepreneur and stop working as a nurse. I have a creative block. I'm an artist and a fashion designer, but it's hard to create when I'm on survival mode. Long story. But I can't seem to get out of this rut. I don't have a support system. I'm on my own. I just wanted to create and build my own business, and I know exactly what I want, but I don't know where to start." You probably haven't looked at some of my other videos in other areas that I've got, and you don't need to. I'll just talk to you here. I actually can't. I could write a book on this. I'm actually what you want to be. I'm already. I've been most of my life. I've been an entrepreneur and on my own, doing my own thing for at least 25 years. And so I really am qualified to help you, and I can help you in all kinds of ways, but I can't make my life about giving away things that I don't have time, that I'm not getting paid for. So what I do is I offer a conscious counseling approach to get somebody started, and I can do a lot for you in that vein, and that will be no cost involved. I mean, I literally could talk to you every single day and go through everything I've done and tell you how to be, well, successful in the way that I have been. But you're going to have to do it in your own way. So it's just as well that I don't go down that long road with you and you do it your own way, but I'll start you off on some good footing. And because I'm a person that's doing what you want to do and have almost all my whole life, I'll tell you how I got there. I'll give you some of the basics of it, and that'll give you hopefully a start, and then we can go from there. But I really am a conscious counselor, okay? In my practical life, I do all those things you want to do, but I really am a conscious counselor. How do we maintain this? Well, I'm looking for little things of where I can start. And one of the things that you said here is that you have not got a support system. You need stable consistency. Well, I remember. Look, first off, I want to say I've been an artist all my life. I'm 55 years old, and I've done art all my life, and I've made a living from art all my life, and I've made a living almost all my life on my own. 29, yes, 29, okay. I wish I was 29, but you know what? This is the great thing. I still feel like I'm 29. I act like I'm 29, but I've got a lot more road-worthy years and experience, and I'll share some of that with you now. All right, let's start off with some of the stuff you can get from any book, okay? A penny saved is a penny earned. Don't quit your day job. I've built up what I am and what I do, and I have freedom, and I can do anything I want to that I can afford. But it's not about money. But I spent a life working towards that. The first thing I would caution you is to stay with what you are while you're going through the hurdles that you're going to have to go through in order to do what you're going to do. And when you have mental blocks and creative blocks, then it won't matter because you're still going to be able to support yourself. Yeah, you might say, yeah, but being a nurse, that takes a lot of my time, and that doesn't help me at all with what I want to do. Well, first off, I'd like to say this. Congratulations. You have found a profession that the world needs, and you're already a great benefit, but I'm sure you probably don't have any negative security complexes. If you're a creative person, you already know that, so I don't need to tell you that. But I would say, hey, thank goodness you got that, because it's a worthwhile endeavor while you're learning and while you're growing. It could take you a long time. And I say could. It took me a long time. Even though I was doing it all the time, it took me a long time to metamorphosize and get into what I'm doing right now and how I'm doing it. Even though I've been doing what I'm doing right now for over 20 years. It took me a long time to get there, and I touched base on many other things. And all of those things helped me. And I don't know how many other videos of mine that you've watched, but you'll see that my artistic training and my ability to analyze and become creative and what I do with that creativity has helped me to do many things through the years, including apply it to what I'm doing now also along with it, which is conscious counseling. Even though I'm not making money on that, because I'm not trying to, it's allowed me to be analytic in nature and use that to help other people. So I'm using my, believe it or not, art talents to do that. Okay, so you want to begin by, you seen Jerry Maguire? Show me the money. You want to begin by what you want to do. You've got to do it. Another thing, I'm doing this. I've got to do it. I don't make any money at it, but I want to. So it comes easy. I spend my time doing it and don't mind. You've got to do something that you want to do. If you don't, you just won't have the fuel. You won't have the fire. If everything you do is incredibly creative all the time, that's hard. I used to say when I was working in an illustration studio, I've only got so many really good hours of creativity in me each day. And then once that's done, well, then you do busy work or you do other things. But to truly be creative, you can't be creative all the time. I was in the movie industry, we worked 12 hours or more a day. And we did all the work for our managers. They didn't do it. They told us what to do, and then we did it. But you know what? They spent even longer than us, more than 12 hours a day. And they couldn't create anything more than they did in the first couple of hours. And after a while, we couldn't create anything more than we did in the first couple of hours. So you have to really balance things as you go along, and it'll be to your benefit to do what you're doing with your actual profession that you're getting money paid for to create this, especially in this day and age. And I would have said this a month ago, but I'm going to say it now. It's going to get worse. People more and more are going to be concerned about shelter, energy, and food. When this virus thing passes, we're going to have a devastated economy, and it's not going to bounce right back up again. It's going to become some other anomaly that we haven't even seen. And the last thing people are going to have time for when they don't have what they need is to have something they don't need, like a craft or things that I do. I do things that aren't needed. Now I could shift over to maybe doing things that are needed, but I've had the luxury of coming and making this happen before the digital revolution, before the dot-com boom, before the phones, even before the computers. You don't have that luxury. There's a million, what do they call it, Generation X or whatever? There's a million people out there at Starbucks with their computers right now trying to figure out how they're going to make a living. The world's just not set up to reward them. You probably already know that. Well, at least you've lobbed onto something that's solid. A job that helps people and makes you have money. Now what you got to do is you got to learn how to do both at the same time. I already said that, but how are you going to do it? Well, what I said was you got to love it. You got to want to do it. And when you come home after a long, hard day, I don't know what your schedule or your shift is or anything, if you would rather sit down in front of the TV and watch a show or read a book or whatever else, and you're not driven to do what you want to do and find some way to have that extra energy at the end of the day when you're really tired, well then I can tell you right now, you're not going to have the energy necessary to make it work or the drive, even if it's all you do. So that's a key ingredient. Take a lot of time to think about that. I've worked with a lot of self-help tools, you say. But there's just so much one can do on their own. I don't think so. I've done almost everything I've ever done on my own since I left the illustration studio, which I was at for about a year, and A&P drawing food for the circulars when they used to be a Fortune 100 company. That was my first job out of college. I left that before a year was over. And then I went into the movie industry, Hollywood East in Florida, spent a couple years doing that, made a lot of money, and then used all that money to buy very expensive video production equipment and be my own director and do my own thing. But then the dot-com boom came and the towers fell and none of that was worth anything. I sold it, got rid of it, continued a little bit longer, but then finally said, I'm done. I'm going to be totally 100% my own. I started being my own. This was all my own after the movie industry. But then I said, okay, I'm not going to have any overhead. I'm only going to have basic artist tools and just work with no overhead. And we were like starving artists all our life. We put all our money in our house. Very good to get a house. My last professor told me, you'll probably have a really hard time making it as an artist, even though he kind of kicked me out of his class. He said, you don't need to be in this class. You need to be out doing. Your portfolio's ready to go. You're ready to go. And he said, go on out there, but let me just give you this last tip. You'll probably have a hard time making it as a lucrative artist, even though you can, and I have. He said, invest in real estate. You may know him, Michael David Brown. He was the guy that changed, before you were born, I think even, the old Kmart symbol where you had the big K and then the Mart was in blue, the old-fashioned vintage Kmart symbol. He changed it over to the big K and things like that. So he's well known and he's made it as an artist. And he told me, invest in real estate. Well, I did. And who could have ever expected the 2008 collapse? Well, this is why I say don't quit your day job. Do these other things all along. Now, I didn't have a regular job. I did just the art all along, okay? I did just the video production, just the selling of my wares, just the independent creation and fabrication and selling. But I also had one more thing. For a short while there, I was a dink, dual income, no kids. And then I had kids, but we worked at home. They stayed at home. We worked together. 2 incomes, and we had a house. You don't have 2 incomes right now. I don't know if I forgot to ask you if you have a house. Very important to have those things. Very important to have solidity. I would focus first on the solidity. And as I say, I'm not going to go much further on this video. Believe it or not, I'm just going to stop this before 15 minutes. And then we can talk some more and see how close I am. I don't want to waste a lot of time. If I'm not telling you anything worthwhile, then you could go your own way. But I'd be glad to talk to you more. But solidity comes from considering the things you must have first. And then all this other stuff that you want to do, if you're made to do it and want to do it and driven to do it, with that solidity intact, you will do it. And the reason why you will do it is because it was meant to be. Like Jerry Maguire, show me the money. If it's not meant to be, don't beat a dead horse. Don't keep pushing that perpetual boulder up the hill, no matter how creative you are. If it's meant to be, it will, and you'll work at it each day and you'll make it happen. If you look at it in this vein that I'm talking about right now, this basic generic vein that I'm talking about, you'll get past, or at least you won't be slowed up by, your mental blocks or your creative blocks. Because we all have those. If I had to be creative all the time, forget it, man, it wouldn't happen. But I'm always doing something productive, or I'm energizing myself for the next day of productivity. Every day of my life, you need to do that too. Don't think there could be long periods of time where you're not productive. Every day you should be productive, creative, or designing, or dreaming, or writing down, or doing something that will help eventually, setting yourself up. Get your hands busy and keep your hands busy. My art teacher used to say, if your hands aren't busy, the drawing won't get done. People would sit around and talk to one another in high school and stuff like that. They didn't get nothing done. I didn't need to be told. My hand was always busy. Keep your hand busy. The drawing will get done. And the thing that'll make this happen is that you want to. These bumps in the road of art blocks, mental blocks, you can afford to have them if you're okay and you're solid. But you'll smooth them out by realizing they don't matter and they won't bug you as much as you think, as long as you keep going. I threw out a portfolio this thick, saw it go away in a garbage truck one day. That's how much art it took me, 2-dimensional art. Imagine how many things it takes to make a stack that big. You can never do enough. You can never learn enough. You can never grow enough. You can never put your hand on enough things. You can never make enough things happen while these other balls are in the air. It's a juggling act. That's where you start. I'll talk to you more after this. I'm Paul Roberts. This is Conscious Counseling 101.